artists who reference other artists in their works. So we've got Titian in 1532, and then we had Manet in 1863. So, visual similarities. They're both a reclining nude female figure on a bed or a chaise lounge. Ooh, excuse me. Directing, like they're looking at the viewer. Their hand is on their thigh, on their pelvis, and then there is an attendant or two in the background and an animal. They also have an animal in the painting. Monet's painting clearly I don't want to say copies, but is identical to Titian's. Titian's at the time was said to be Venus, the goddess of love, the goddess of marriage, sexuality. Very, very different than Monet's, which was a real life human. It's a little bit flatter, Monet's, compared to Titian's, but that is what it is at the time. A little few things here and there that are different. There's a cat rather than a dog. There's one attendant versus two. Even the divider in the room is a little bit different. One is almost like halfway through the painting. The other one is just a little off. But it's still a beautiful painting. There's still so much that is gorgeous. Monet's painting completely took audiences by surprise because it took something that was supposed to be this goddess and made it more human, made it real. So, yeah, very, very modern. Okay, and then we've got Velázquez and David. Velázquez's painting, very traditional. Well, they're both very traditional. I do feel one is more real, while the other one is more idolized, like making him more than what he appears. Vasquez, it is Prince Philip, or King Philip at the time, the fourth. Very, very regal, expensive clothing, his horse ready to go, all set. Napoleon's as well is ready to go and all set. The wind is blowing, making it more theatrical, more look at what I did during this harrowing time. The gentleman and the soldiers in the background helping with, I can't tell if it's a cannon or if it's a wagon, but getting stuff up the mountain, a steep mountain. While Vasquez's is just an open, we see the trees in the background. Really pretty day, maybe to go on a horse run. So, Baroque with Vasquez, very little, subtle light, depth, realism, while the neoclassical with David, crisp lines, clarity, heroic emphasis, which is very true. And then two more, Ramani's in 1515, and then Manet in 1863. He took one little section out of this Ramani's paintings, or etching, I'm sorry, with more, the similarities are more composition wise than the subject matter. Ramani's, it's basically the Judgment of Paris, so many Greek gods. We have Hades, or we have Hermes, We have Dionysus, we have Athena, we have Apollo. There's so many here that I feel like it's a little unique because of all these Greek gods, especially at that time, where it's a little, I feel like it's a little, well, it's beautiful, but it's all these different gods and goddesses. Well, Manet's is very classical Renaissance. The multiple figures in a landscape. There's nude women among some clothed women. Figures grouped in triangular arrangements. All over the place, which is a really interesting concept. The mythology scene with Romani's, the story, it's from Greek mythology, so it's Paris judging different goddesses. Manet's is real people, the same model as Olympia is right here. She's still just as beautiful. In a contemporary setting. They're in the forest. They're either washing clothes or something. They just had a lunch. So it's a place that you could find in real life, not something that you could find with the gods and goddesses. Monet took a Renaissance mythological etching and reused it with modern realistic context. So not a lot of people liked that, but we'll get to that. Society and social classes. John Steen, the Feast of St. Nicholas. Very chaotic. It's a middle class, probably a merchant. Food on the floor, lots of children, lots of chaotic craziness, everyday life for these children. Disciplining, behavioral problems, laughing, some crying. The home is very, very messy. Very messy. Steen entertains and criticizes the middle class, suggesting that without discipline and moral guidance, these households can fall into chaos, which from this definitely looks like it's chaos. People found this very funny. I feel like because it wasn't their house, so it was very, very funny for them. Antine Jean Gros, Napoleon visiting the plague-stricken in Hoffa, portrays Napoleon Bonaparte as a heroic, compassionate leader during a plague outbreak. Napoleon is shown as a fearless and caring, willing to touch the sick to help ordinary soldiers. With that, it is suggesting that strong leadership includes compassion. I could see that. Napoleon is centered, brightly lit, very calm. He touches a plague victim without fear or without his gloves. Echoing Christ healing the sick. Like, basically, I'm up there. The suffering soldiers are in the shadows, or are right here in the shadows, hiding away. I still don't understand I understand the light, but I just find it so bright on them. But yeah. The painting contrasts the powerful leader with suffering lower class soldiers, but instead of criticizing inequality, it reframes it. Napoleon is a benevolent figure who bridges classes. Yeah, I could see that. But this is the gentleman who's supposed to be the emperor. He's taken over all of these places and now he's going to be the emperor. So, military, definitely, I get some propaganda, especially at the time. The event in Hoffa is an image of heroism, compassion, and leadership. Yeah, I definitely can agree with that. The burial, this massive painting I love. It's just an ordinary person who has died. So they've got the church, they've got the mourners in the background, no idea who this is. It is not extremely wealthy because it doesn't look like there's any fur. It looks like these are just normal people. They are not a historical figure, they are not religious figure, they are not a deity, these are just normal people. Some rural funeral, which I love. It's being petty a little bit. He challenges, Gustave Gobert challenges social hierarchy by basically putting these commoners up in the same point as some of these religious figures that we've seen throughout the years, which I just find absolutely hilarious. He challenges social hierarchy by elevating commoners, which I love. The democratic ideas of the working class were rising. So this is very much, it was after the revolutions in 1848, so it was very different. People did not see this. This was not something that was common, especially as large as this painting is. And then we've got Olympia by Manet. This painting exposes the hypocrisy of the working class, or the upper class, really, especially around sexuality. This model was a prostitute. She was known all through the city. There is no disguise. It is not, oh, this is Venus. No, this was a mortal woman who was a prostitute in modern day time, or in 1863 modern day. Monet forces the viewers to confront the reality of prostitution, which was common at this time, but the upper class fully denied it. Like, it was something that they didn't acknowledge at all, which is like, you probably went to her, yet you're not acknowledging that she is working. It modernized Paris. Class divisions and urban life were becoming more visible, and art began addressing all these issues. One of them was this one, which I still find so funny. All right, humor. Many different periods had humor. Virgil the Elder, the wedding dance. It was mocking the behavior of peasants, especially because you've got overindulgence, you've got the wine, it looks like he's doing something else here, but you've got the jug of alcohol, you've got another jug of alcohol, you've got another jug, you've got kissing, you've got music, phallus, 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 so many. So it's very, it was peasants, but the upper class thought this was funny. What they were doing on a normal basis, it was exaggerated, but it also showed that there was a lack of control. So the upper class found it very funny. Criticizing other humans. So, very, very colorful piece. And then we had the younger, Bruegel the Younger, 1615, the lawyer's office. A lot of the peasants in this basically were taken advantage of at this time. I definitely think that this lawyer right here definitely looked overwhelmed, but he also, I feel like he could be opportunistic, where he wants to take more than he was supposed to take. At the time, people thought the peasants were gullible, so the legal systems were corrupt or chaotic, which this definitely shows chaos. The painting reflects frustrations with those systems in a humorous way. I don't think it's humorous, but it showed the real issues. So, social hierarchy and all that. Very, very true. Going back to the Feast of St. Nicholas, domestic chaos. The home is being in chaos. A reliable family life, very chaotic, food on the ground, teaches the moral class, teaches the middle class the morals of discipline and lessons and overindulge. So, very, very adorable scene. Very chaotic, very chaotic. And then we've got to the swing. I love this one. I think the colors are beautiful. So pretty. Playful, a little scandalous. 1767. A woman swings on a swing in this gorgeous dress with her lover or her husband in the bushes underneath, where he can look up her skirt. Like, I'm thinking that the gentleman back here is possibly a servant. Don't really know. Could be a lover, could be a husband, but to basically fling off her shoe is, I just find so funny. A little bit lighthearted. This little cherub or angel, I feel like he's doing a little shush sign. He probably isn't. His finger's probably here, but from looking on it this way, it looks like he's shushing as a shh, be quiet. It's very carefree. At this time, the upper class were very into spending time just doing nothing. And this is before the French Revolution. Rococo, leisure and indulgence. It shows the upper class just living as is. So the humor in art, from peasant comedy to playful, satirical, sometimes scandalous humor with the upper class. Very, very true. This one is one of my favorites. It's not overly colorful, but what needs to be colored is colored. Like the pink of her dress, the pink of her hat, the white of her stockings and her pink shoes. It's a subtle but very beautiful painting. All right, compare and contrast. What are we? 20 minutes. Okay. So Gross Clinic and the Anatomy Lessons of Nicholas Tulip. Very both medical dissections, radically different cultural moments. One is from the realism in the United States in 19th century, and the other one is in 17th century Dutch. The lessons of Nicholas Tulip, Golden Age Republic, Dutch Republic, anatomy lessons were mostly for the people in the guild, not really open to the public. These are all surgeons. Just understanding how humans work, which is very interesting. The Gross Clinic, the 19th century one, realism, American realism, very realistic. The mother right here, the son on the table, the red blood rather than the brownish blood. Rembrandt's Baroque has a lot of lighting, dramatic lighting, like the hands, the face, the body. Minimized blood, composed. There's no real emotion on any of these. Ekins, realism, not idolization. These are people that are in the middle of saving this boy's life, maybe. The patient is open. Like, we see the thigh, we see that the feet are right here, we know the head is right there. The mother right here shows so much emotion that there's also, it shows more emotion than the first one, this one, but it also shows that this is a study less, like it's a study, it's a surgical theater. So these are probably doctors at the time that are learning what's going on. Rembrandt's was a commissioned group portrait, so it wasn't real. I definitely feel Ekins is not really a commission, but it shows the real life, what is going on. It's a statement about modern medicine and education, because it's real. It's not something that could happen. Like, this is what was going on at the time. It's almost about a 250-year gap from a controlled social image, because these were all other surgeons in this guild, to realism, raw, observational truth in this one. So Rembrandt's painting reassures the viewers about the order and authority of science within society, while Ekins' paintings immerse viewers in the physical and sometimes disturbing reality of the science. Each work embodies the time period's priorities. One celebrates the knowledge as status, and the other insists on the knowledge as a living experiment. So, very, very cool on both of those. Rejected works. I'm going to try to get through this one very quickly. I don't want to take too much more time. The Death of the Virgin, Caravaggio. I love this one. It was commissioned by the church, and when it was finished, they said Mary was too real. So things that they wanted fixed: the sense of physical decay, cleaner signs, like clearer, to make her like more holy, and then why is she dead? She needs to be deified because she's the mother of Jesus. I Baroque period, gotta love that. It's a human body that has died, and it's like she's a little bit gray, which so I find so fascinating, because it was not something that was done. So the next one is Stonebreakers. Two laborers breaking stones. That's literally all it is. It's still a large painting. The audience did not want to see basically poor people on massive canvases, which the massive canvases were set for historical people, religious people, not something of normal breaking rocks. So they were told that they had to make it a noble, reduce the endless, hopeless labor, and another one was make it more moral or honorific narrative. So not tell it like it is, but how we want to perceive it, which I just find ridiculous. And then another gross clinic. It's real. It was too real for them, and they did not like it. So they wanted it to make it less brutal, get rid of the blood, get rid of the emotion of the mother, and then also clean up the scene, make it not as a studio, not like this, not as a clinic, but make it more for the doctor rather than the patient, which is they didn't do. And then the last one is The Raft of the Medusa. It was political disaster when it was first released. They were disturbed. Viewers were disturbed by the graphic suffering of these characters on this raft. Art wasn't expected to be openly criticized. It blurred the lines between history painting and current events. And this was 1819. So he was told that he needed to fix it, choose safer historical or mythological subject, downplay the horrors or the corpses, and then any implications needed to be removed. From 1600 onward, paintings were often rejected when they violated expectations. These were a few. Subject matter. It was too real. Like, they didn't like it. Too modern, maybe political. They didn't like it. Style. Too flat. Too raw. Like, I don't like this. I don't want it. And the third one was function. Like, the two large pieces, the funeral and then the Stonebreakers. Those were massive. Why have that? There's no need. They were decorative. There wasn't anything that they could teach with it. The artists like Caravaggio, a few others, Ekins, who was another one? Theodore Carlot. I just butchered that, I know it. And the gentleman that did the Marys, what is his name? Caravaggio. They were ahead of their time. They were looking above all of their audience expectations. These audience were told to fix their paintings, and they did not conform to the time period's values. They did not change anything, and we have these amazing paintings that we would have had if we wouldn't have had if they would have changed everything. Thank you.